So last year we watched the Los Angeles Lakers take home the NBA title that took place down in the bubble, and all in all their journey to the top was incredibly entertaining to watch. From their leaders of LeBron James and Anthony Davis lighting up scoreboards on a nightly basis, to the glue guys like Rajon Rondo, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, and Dwight Howard and Danny Green all playing their roles very well, to the fun youngsters like Alex Caruso and Kyle Kuzma, and everyone else, they proved to be a dominant team that ended the year on top of the league. Now going into this season though, the Lakers made a lot of changes this offseason, mostly very good ones, including the additions of players like Dennis Schroeder, Montrezl Harrell, and Marc Gasol, but one of their biggest additions of all could very well prove to be a guy that was already on the team last year who was just waiting for his opportunity to come. That player is Talen Horton-Tucker, and this brings us to the topic of today's video. Today, we'll be discussing why I believe Horton-Tucker could prove to be the team's X-Factor this season after spending most of his rookie year down in the G League developing last year. We'll be discussing his journey to get to this point, what kind of player he is and should prove to be moving forward, and why his potential is as high as it is. Before we start though, it turns out about 68% of you watching right now aren't even subscribed to the channel, so please, if you enjoy the content, consider hitting the subscribe button, as not only does it help out a ton, but I would also very much appreciate it. Now with that being said, let's begin. Talen Horton-Tucker's journey begins in the city of Chicago where he grew up, and throughout his entire life, family has always been incredibly important to him, but unfortunately, he and his family were forced to face serious tragedies starting when Talen was 13 years old, starting with the death of his grandmother. His grandmother was always his biggest fan, and she was a wonderful woman that worked with less privileged youth and the homeless of the neighborhood that they were living in, and was genuinely beloved by the community. Then, just 1 year later, his father passed away due to a heart attack, and obviously having to experience this so early in life was difficult on him. Regarding how this affected him, Tucker said, "Losing somebody else close to you, it hurts. Your father, I mean, he made me, so losing him, it just made me realize that life is kind of short." On top of all of that, one of his best friends that actually played a big part in convincing Tucker to play basketball at Simeon was killed while living in Los Angeles just 2 months after the passing of his father, so already he's experienced more difficult loss than most. With all of this happening in such a short amount of time, it very well could have broken him, and I don't think anybody could judge him if it did, but instead, he kept fighting, because that's just the kind of person that he is. According to his mother Shirley, he's able to understand life, that it affects you, but you're going to learn something from it and do something with it. Now, as I mentioned before, this all motivated Horton-Tucker to keep pushing and keep working hard toward his goals, and it all started at Simeon Career Academy, which, if it sounds familiar, is probably because over the year, Simeon as a high school has developed several top-tier NBA talents such as Derrick Rose, Jabari Parker, Kendrick Nunn, and a whole bunch more. In his 4 seasons at Simeon, he helped the team win 3 straight city championships, and his raw, explosive potential really started to be on full display the further along in his career that he got. He plays with that chip on his shoulder that he developed over the years from his life experiences, and just watching him play, you could tell he does it for a lot more than just himself, but he's more of a reserved person by nature that lets his game do the talking, and most of the time it absolutely does. I just worked hard. I let my game do the talking. I didn't take the easy way out. I don't want to be looking through life and be like, I wish I would have did this, Talen said on his approach towards the game of basketball in an interview. At the end of his high school career, he was once again given a reason to have a chip on his shoulder, as he was left off of the McDonald's and Jordan Brand All-American Game rosters after having a dominant senior season in which his best games often came against some of the best players in that recruiting class, including a 24-point game in a win against a team led by this year's 2nd overall pick James Wiseman, and a 26-point performance going head-to-head with last year's number 3 2023 overall pick R.J. Barrett, who at the time was the #1 ranked player in all of high school basketball. Despite this, he committed to play at Iowa State in college, and his career continued on there. In his one season at Iowa State, he had a relatively productive season, posting averages of 12 points and 5 rebounds per game, and he admittedly was still pretty raw as a player overall that had plenty of ups and downs throughout the season, and he decided to enter the draft after just that one season. Now, this is the part of the video where we begin to analyze him as a player and how he was viewed at the time of the draft. Horton-Tucker entered the draft last year as the youngest prospect coming out of college in the entire class, as he was still only 18 years old at the time. He stands at 6'5" and has a 7'1" wingspan, possessing incredibly eye-popping measurables for a wing prospect, especially when you also take into consideration how strong he was as a player, weighing 235 pounds of muscle. So he had the ideal height, length, and strength NBA teams love from prospects that get taken on the basis of potential, and outside of the measurables, he could legitimately hoop with a skill set of pure bully ball. When he got out in transition, there was almost no stopping him, as defenders would bounce right off of him because of his combination of speed and strength, and his ability to finish through contact was superb. He's a terrific athlete, he's crafty with the ball in his hands to get his shot off, and he naturally has a very good feel for the game. But the one thing that needed work at the time was his jumper, which was admittedly inconsistent at Iowa State, having made only 31% of his threes and 63% of his free throws. But that shortcoming still doesn't justify him falling in the draft as far as he did. Think about it for a second. How many times have we seen players drafted in the lottery solely based on their elite physical attributes, youth, and raw potential despite inconsistent production? Hell, we just saw the Chicago Bulls draft Patrick Williams 4th overall this year because of things like that, and that pick very well might work out for the Chicago Bulls as well. So the fact that Horton-Tucker fell all the way to 46th overall in the second round is crazy to me, having originally been drafted by the Orlando Magic before immediately getting traded to the Los Angeles Lakers. Last year, he spent most of the season with the Lakers' G League affiliate, continuing to develop, and whenever he got called up to the Lakers, he typically rode the bench. But while some players would sulk about their lack of opportunity, Tucker soaked everything in that he possibly could from the experience, as many assistant coaches have talked about how willing he is to learn, and how he was always working with them on the side, looking at tape, and practicing individually just to get better and better every way he can. Now coming into this season, the Lakers are once again gearing up for a title push to defend their crown, and they arguably got better as a team, so it seemed like his path to regular minutes in the rotation was non-existent. But so far in preseason, he's played so well that not only is it virtually impossible to deny him minutes, but he now has legends of the game taking note and advocating for him. In the preseason this year, he's averaging about 21 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, and 2 steals per game, while shooting the ball highly efficiently at 55% from the field and 54% from 3. Is it a small sample size? Yes. Is it awfully impressive though, especially considering the way he's going about getting those numbers, looking like a 5-year veteran? Oh hell yes. After seeing him so far, Lakers legend James Worthy said he's gotta play. He cannot be denied minutes the way he's playing. I'm sorry. On top of that, Anthony Davis, his teammate, has also come away highly impressed, saying, "For him to come in and play with so much confidence and do big things for us on defense and on the offensive end, it's huge for us. He's going to play a big role for us this year, and he's continuing to learn. This is his 2nd year, and he's still learning the game, so the future is bright with him for sure." Everybody that is around him regularly and sees the strides he's taking seem to be incredibly high on him and his potential, and the Lakers seem to have no choice but to fit him into their rotation this year. He has all of the makings of a two-way stud in this league, and adding him to a Lakers team that's already oozing with talent is going to be scary for the rest of the NBA. And with that being said, that's all I have for you today. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below what you think about Talen Horton-Tucker's potential in the league moving forward. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.